One of the most important ways to practice and a great way to develop your sense of rhythm, timing, and consistency throughout your playing is to use a metronome. And we're really lucky these days. If you have a smartphone, you can just get an app. And I have my favorite app to use is Pro Metronome. It's a free download. They have a pro version that has more features, but the free version gives you a lot. It has a regular setting for, you can create different sounds for each beat. You can play in 3/4, 4/4, various time signatures. You can tap out the tempo right on your phone. Let's say if I'm listening to a song and the tempo is 1, 2, 3, 4, I just tap right on the surface of my phone and it gives me, that's about 90 beats per minute. There's a start button, there's a wheel I can spin around to get some different speeds and tempo. I'm going to slow that down to 60 beats per minute. And it's tricky to play music and be listening to what you're playing while you're listening to something else. And I think that's a really, really fundamental part of playing music with other people, playing in groups. And the metronome can help you tremendously with that as well. So the first thing that we want to do is simplify what we're playing to get comfortable using the metronome. Because if you dive right into a difficult piece, your fingers are busy working around, your mind is very busy thinking of what to play. It's going to be difficult to do that while listening to something else. So the first step that I recommend, let's just get this going and let's just start feeling this beat of 60 beats per minute. That's the seconds going by on a clock actually. And I have this set where the first beat is a higher pitch than the others. It's a woodblock sound. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4. It's good to know where the 1 is. The first step to get to know how to use your metronome is just be able to count along with it. And you could do this without playing the ukulele. I'm just going to speak the words 1, 2, 3, 4. You can tap your foot. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Now once that starts to feel familiar and comfortable, and you can count, we're just doing basically quarter notes here. For every click in the metronome, we're counting 1. Let's try it again, just clapping. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So right away while I'm doing this, I'm really paying attention to each click. I'm feeling that to see if I'm ahead or behind. 1, 2, 3, 4. Keeping the rhythm very simple to start with. Just doing quarter notes is a great way to get familiar with just feeling that pulse going by. Now let's just transfer that to the ukulele. And I'm going to hold the C chord and I'm just going to do a down strum. And before I even do it, I'm going to get my hand moving and think like, I like to think of this image of like tying a string between your big toe and your index finger. So as you tap your foot, it brings your hand down as if you're strumming. Now I'll come right in on the 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're just trying to hit those downbeats with a strum. Now there are many ways that we can get sound out of the ukulele, and you want to try to explore each of them using the metronome. So strumming, I'm going to use my thumb now and play. I'm just going to arpeggiate up a C chord. It could even be open strings, or it could be one string. I'll play the high string. Just using my thumb to play notes. Now if I switch to the fingerstyle technique we've been using a lot at Ukulele Corner, alternating index and middle. I'm going to try that on the note C, the 3rd fret of the high string. Could be anywhere though. We just want to consistently play different techniques with the quarter note. Really lock into the groove with your metronome. I'll go to the 2nd string, I'll just play it open. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm alternating fingers. But you can do anything you want. You could just repeat one finger to start with. The most important thing is developing your listening ability. As you play, you're just trying to time this with the metronome. 3rd string. Now when that starts feeling comfortable, I can vary the rhythm. I'm going to do half notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm sticking with this note C on the 3rd string. Every other beat I'm playing. 1, 2, 3. I'll do whole notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. But by counting all the way through, you really get consistent when you land back on the note. 2, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Back to quarter notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. How about eighth notes? 1 and 2 and 3. Then we're counting the ends. So you're playing twice for each click. 1 and 2 and. And it's really good to subdivide, count the ends as you're doing this. 16th notes would be 1E and 2E and 3E and 4E. Quarter notes, 2, 3, 4. Eighth notes, 1 and 2 and. And if you're ready for it, 16ths, 1D and 2E and 3E and 4. Back to quarters. Half notes, 2 counts, 1, 2, 3, 4. Whole note, 1, 2, 3, 4. So just by simplifying to the basics of just producing sound and doing a repetitive pattern, that's going to get you more in sync with the metronome before you start to actually play pieces along with it. And so I recommend a good series of practice sessions doing that. Make it your warm-up. Just get that metronome going, play some scales. Play some repeated notes, do strumming exercises. All the things I did with rhythm, we could apply to strumming. You could do down, down, up, up, down. Do a pattern that you're comfortable with. This is a very common pattern, right? Now I was doing it at a pretty fast tempo there. I'm going to go back to 60 beats per minute. Let's try that pattern, this slow rhythm. First, I would think of imagining doing the shape and the motion of it. 1, 2, and 3. And 4, down, down, up, down, down. So we have to do it much slower, really subdivide because we're doing eighth notes. We're not playing on 3. 1 and 2 and rest and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. I'm really listening for those clicks and trying to match the down strums with the downbeats. 4, 1, 2, rest, 4. I'm really thinking of those downbeats. But I just basically, it's all based on, in this case, subdivisions of eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So being able to strum those is really important. Now with that much effort, you're really going to start to connect with the metronome, and it's not going to feel so foreign. You're often going to feel like, my battery must be dying on my phone, or something's wrong with the metronome, not me. But no, it's often spot on. It's always spot on. And so this is a really good challenge to work on trying to keep your tempo going along with something that's very mechanically playing this perfect tempo for you. I find it fun to play along with a lot of recordings as well. That's a good way to be able to develop your ear to listen while you play. Let's dive into a couple of the pieces that happen early on in the Ukulele Corner classical repertoire book. And let's look at Ode to Joy. And we're going to just try to read through this and then a Fernando Soares study. So Ode to Joy, I'm going to give you an example. You can just dive in and start playing if you know the piece really well, but just listen to how I do this. I'm going to be counting. As I play, I'll count out loud, and there are quarter notes, there are dotted quarter notes in this that get a count and a half, they're eighth notes. There are a couple of half notes as well. And so those are our basic rhythms. We practice them all. Just to review what a dotted rhythm is. 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2. We're going to run into that a few times. You'll recognize this melody. It's going to be slow at this tempo. Eventually you can start picking up the pace, but always practice under tempo when you're first practicing. So here we go. 2, 3, 4. These are all quarter notes. 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. 1 and 2 and 3. There's that dotted rhythm. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And notice how I'm subdividing. 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. I'm alternating index and middle as I do this. You could do whatever technique you're comfortable with. You could use all your thumb all the way through. Here, eighth notes, 2 and 3. 4 again. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Tapping my foot like crazy as I do this. Feeling that pulse, feeling those downbeats. Start simply, start slowly, work your way up to playing at a faster tempo. Now let's look at study number 1, Opus 60 by Fernando Sor. I'll keep it at the same tempo. This, once again, could be played much faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 1, and 2, and 3. And lots of quarter notes. Half note here, 2. 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Listening for that click, matching the downbeats with my fingers. Rest. Second half, I'll go, I won't take the repeat. 3, 4, 2, 3 and 4. Measure 11. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1, 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, 3, and 4, and 1. Okay, so I would definitely do this piece. You want to work it up to about this tempo. So let's just feel that out. I'm going to use that tap function that I mentioned is available on the smartphone. Pro Metronome app is the one I use. There are many other ones that are great. This one is one of the best though. So I'm going to tap out. I'm going to feel that pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's figure out how many beats per minute that is. I'm looking at about 100 beats per minute there. This could be faster, but this is your goal, to work up to a faster tempo. You've worked your way gradually. Let's say you go from 60, 65, 70, 75. Go in increments of 5 beats per minute, thereabouts. Let's give this a run. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But now I'm comfortable, really feeling those downbeats. And it doesn't feel so foreign now using the metronome. It feels more natural. I'm really lining up my fingers because I've practiced my scales. I've practiced repetitive note strumming, all these different things to connect with those downbeats. This is a good piece. There's not a lot of subdividing here, a lot of quarter notes. So a great piece to start with. So that was a Fernando study number 1, Fernando Sor study at 100 beats per minute. You might creep your way up. Let's say I'm going to play an F scale, like we played Ode to Joy is in the key of F. I'm going to start this 100 beats per minute. I'm going to show you the last exercise here. I'm going to do an F scale, just 5 notes. F up to a C, then back down. F, G, A, B flat, first fret. The frets are on the 2nd string, we're going to play the 1st fret to the 3rd. Then on the high string, we're going to play the open 1st fret and 3rd. And I just walk up and down. I'm alternating index and middle in the right hand. I'm going to do quarter notes and then eighths. I call it a speed burst. Quarter notes, eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and quarter notes, then eighths. Let me slow it down back to 60, and I'll do the same thing. Often when you play to the faster tempo and you slow down, you're going to want to jump ahead of the beat. So this is actually a good thing to do. Try going in reverse. Go from a fast tempo to a slow tempo. You really have to reset, recalibrate your internal clock here using that metronome. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and 2. Here, subdividing is really going to help. Here are those eighth notes. 1 and 2. And listen for the downbeats. Quarter note, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Now, eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 16ths. So at the very end there I did 1 E and 2 E and 3 and 4. You can experiment with different rhythms. You could try triplets, subdivisions. The point is, I'm trying to limit the amount of things that I'm doing to focused, repetitive types of playing so that I can really focus my ear on listening to the metronome. I hope these tips and these pointers give you some guidance as you start using your metronome more. Don't be afraid of it. It really, really helps. It will improve so many aspects of your playing, and it's really, truly one of the great fundamental things that we can use in our practice all the time.